Let's begin. Our agenda today includes getting to know WSADA, what is Fund Match, the Fund Match process, international trade shows, claim submission, and wrap up and tips for success. WSADA is the acronym for the Western United States Trade Association. And we are a nonprofit association with over 40 years of exporting focus. We have a global network of resources, and we partner and advocate with the USDA and the Foreign Agricultural Service. Fund Match gets its funding from the USDA's Market Access Program, also known as MAP. Our mission and vision is to increase international growth of Western agribusinesses by providing financial support, export readiness, and business development services. Our 10-year goal is that Western agribusinesses will thrive in world markets. Our member states include the Western U.S. region, Alaska, Montana, Arizona, Nevada, California, New Mexico, Colorado, Oregon, Utah, Washington, Wyoming, Guam, Hawaii, Idaho, and the Mariana Islands. What is the Fund Match program? Well, Fund Match is the funding program of WSADA, which assists eligible agribusinesses and agricultural suppliers compete internationally by providing 50% reimbursement for eligible marketing expenses and activities to promote the brands and products of the USA. Do you qualify for Fund Match? Well, you must be headquartered in the Western U.S. region, be a small to medium agribusiness. Your products must be at least 50% U.S. grown. You must be operating in business for 1 year. Fund Match provides a 50% cost reimbursement on eligible international marketing expenses. In 2022, the average return of investment was 57 to 1. For your first year applicant, first-time exporters can receive up to $25,000 in funding. And if you're an experienced exporter, you can receive up to $50,000 in funding. After the first year, you can receive up to $300,000 in reimbursement, but keep in mind that that means you would have a $600,000 marketing budget. The minimum allocation is $2,500, and that equals $5,000 in eligible expenses at 50%. Now, this slide outlines the Fund Match application and claims process. And we kind of begin by, you would sign on to your WSADA account, to your dashboard, and click on the Fund Match tile and access the 2024 year, and you can begin the online process. It also kind of includes having a consultation with me as well. I can help assist you get through that application process, determine your budgets, and help you make projections in that way. You submit your claim online, and there is a $250 fee. That it's an application fee for each calendar year that you apply. Once the claim is submitted, it'll be reviewed by our new Fund Match manager, Blaine Merkley, and he will let you know if there's any information he needs or is missing on the contract on the application, and it'll be processed, and you will have a signed contract that you'll have to sign digitally. There is a 6% admin fee that goes with that funding. And what that means is, for example, if you take the minimum funding of $2,500, 6% of that is $150, and that is your admin fee for that amount of funding. Once your contract is signed and your fees are paid, you're able to conduct your activities and attend your trade show. When you return from your trade show, at that point, you'll compile and prepare the required documentation to submit your claim online. And there again, you'll sign on to your Wasata account and access the claims tile there and submit your claim. Once the claim is received by Wasata, we take about 30 days to pull that claim for review. And we ask for if additional documentation is needed, we'll ask for that. It gives you 15 days to respond to those requests. Once the claim is finalized and approved, we forward it for funding, and it takes about 14 days to get dispersed to the company. Now comes the deep dive into the claim requirements for international trade shows. We're going to talk a lot about the U.S. origin statement and your brand promotion. And I realize we'll say those terms a lot, but that is the cornerstone of our program. And you must have brand promotion and a valid U.S. origin statement present in your booth, including all photos and on all other POS materials. If the brand promotion and the U.S. origin statement are missing from your booth or from your photos, the claim will not be eligible. So it's a very important regulation in the program. And if you ever have any questions about the U.S. origin statement and what you should be using, feel free to reach out to me or our office. Someone will guide you in this regard. The 4 acceptable origin statements are product of the USA or product of America, grown in the USA or grown in America, made in the USA or made in America. If you decide to use your state, you have to spell out the entire state name, product of California, grown in Oregon, made in Montana are a few examples. Another important piece to claim submission is having your approved products. And all activities must include the approved products from your current FundMatch application. If you market other brands or products that are not approved, the activity will be prorated, and that applies to international trade shows, missions, displays, demos, all international activities for FundMatch. And for example, if your company exhibits at a trade show and markets 4 approved products in the booth, and you also market 2 products that are not on your FundMatch application, the entire claim would be prorated at 67% based on the approved products, and then the reimbursement of 50% kicks in. If your total claim, this is an example, if your total claim is $5,000, at 67% is $3,350. 50% of that is a $1,675 reimbursement instead of the $2,500 in reimbursement if all of the products were listed and approved. You may add new products for approval prior to your event or activity. Just sign into your 2024 application, select products, and add a new product. You'll upload the label and the origin statement and complete the submission. It'll take a few days for the Fund Match Manager to review and approve it, and expect email confirmation or check back with your dashboard for any updates. The USA Pavilion is a pavilion of that is at specific shows where the USDA has purchased a group of booths. Exhibiting within the USA Pavilion is a requirement if you're seeking reimbursement through Fund Match. A complete list of the shows with USA Pavilions can be found in the guide, and the next slide also has some of them on it as well. Companies are required to exhibit within the pavilion to receive reimbursement on eligible expenses. If the trade show has no USA Pavilion, your company is free to exhibit anywhere on the show floor as long as 30% or more of the exhibitors sell food or agricultural products. If you'd like to have an exemption to the USA Pavilion, it must have pre-approval from the USDA, and that's needed to exhibit anywhere outside that pavilion. Requests must be submitted in writing to fundmatch@wasada.org at least 60 days prior to the start of the show. And I always recommend the minute that you think you want an exemption to this, you should file it right away, even if it's, less or more than 60 days. Get that information out there. If that is not approved, then you would have to exhibit in the USA Pavilion. Now, these are some of the shows that have USA Pavilions, and the ones that are bolded, like CL China, Food Ingredients or FI Asia, Food and Hotel Asia, CL Paris, the Seafood Expo Global. Those are all shows listed in those bolded shows are WASADA pavilions, and they are within the USA Pavilion. Includes several of them. Now we're going to move on to getting a claim submitted and gathering the necessary documentation needed for that claim. Each individual expense will require submission of 3 items. You'll need to either have an invoice with a date, name, address. It has the vendor and all the itemized charges. It also has to have your company information on it, and a translation is needed for invoices in a foreign language. Proof of payment is also needed. A bank or credit card statement in a PDF format. We need the first page of the statement and the page of the transaction. If it's a wire transfer, it needs to include the wire transfer form plus the corresponding bank statement. If it is a check, it needs to include the check image plus the corresponding bank statement. And if it was paid by cash, a cash receipt must be signed and dated by the vendor that received the cash. Proof of activity varies upon the expense. All activities must display the brand and valid origin statement, as it would be for an international trade show. And this brings us to what those eligible expenses might be. It looks like a lot here, but we're going to get through it. So the exhibition fees for the booth space rental and booth insurance expenses, those are eligible. The rental of temporary booth displays. The exhibitor guide, for example, if you had an advertisement within the exhibitor guide, as long as it had a valid U.S. origin statement, that fee for that ad would be eligible. Uniforms that promote the brand name and origin statement. That would include like aprons, t-shirts, caps. Temporary labor wages which includes demonstrators, chefs, interpreters, translators, hostesses and hosts that you have in your booth, the booth design fees, and booth construction setup. Demonstration supplies, which includes the disposable cups, spoons, napkins, maybe food purchased to enhance your product. Equipment rentals, such as refrigeration, freezers, rentals of hot plates, toasters. Also includes the product showcase. And the product showcase we need to have a photo of, and it needs to have the origin statement and brand promotion present as well. Freight costs are eligible, including shipping of samples, materials, and equipment to and from the trade show. And international travel is also eligible with these international trade shows. It includes airfare for 2 company representatives. I always refer folks to the Fund Match Guide for the detailed information under the travel section. Representatives may include employees or board members or brokers, consultants that you have representing your booth. Meals and incidental per diems are allowed for 2 company representatives as well during that show time, as well as lodging for 2 company representatives at the per diem rate. Passports, visas, and inoculations are also eligible. And keep in mind with these travel expenses, reach out to me and I can answer any of your questions when you get ready to make your travel arrangements, and we can help you through that process and help simplify it. Printed sales materials, your production of your banners, posters, your signage, recipe cards, shelf talkers, company brochures, any sales materials that promote your approved products. That is eligible for reimbursement. The design of it is eligible for reimbursement, and it just must include the origin statement and your brand promotion. Giveaways. Giveaways are also eligible. Giveaways are eligible up to a $4 per unit amount, and then at 50%, we would pay $2 maximum for each unit. Since giveaways are small in nature, the U.S. origin statement is not required just on giveaways. I always like to put this slide in here because it helps kind of know how we want the U.S. origin statement or brand promotion to kind of be displayed or show in photos. These back panels that have the company name and origin statement, those are eligible for reimbursement as long as it has the origin statement made in the USA on it. To avoid ineligible claims, always make sure that these are here. These like side banners, I see a lot of these in claims. These are eligible for reimbursement. The kiosk wrap is eligible for reimbursement. And as always, if you ever have questions about these particular expenses, just reach out, shoot me an email, and I can put you on track for that. I'm going to expand a little bit on the claim documentation because you'll need to think about this when you're preparing your documents to upload to your laptop or desktop to have them ready to submit with your expenses. Your invoices and proof of payment we talked about. Also, you'll need a copy of the company listing of the exhibitor guide. Now, most of the time those are digital now, so you'll just need to provide a screenshot of the online listing. And then we'll go into photos a little bit here. They must be large, all-encompassing photos with the brand name and the valid origin statement on it. Supplementary photos of the smaller sections of the booth are also needed so that we can make sure that you get all the reimbursement possible that you need in that claim. A high quality video or on a DVD or CD is also, it's eligible as far as we can use it for documentation or proof of activity. You'll need to provide a list of all the products displayed. We talked about this in the proration piece, and anything that's promoted in the booth. All expenses will be prorated based on the number of approved and unapproved products being promoted at the trade show. If you have a product featured in a product showcase, reminder to be sure to get that photo and that it includes the origin statement. And we also need photos of the employees that are working the booth and that traveled there, as well as the temporary labor manning the booth during the trade show. Okay, this is ineligible expenses, and this particular list is taken directly from the guide. It'll have many things on it. We're going to get through this list as well. But whenever, just as a side note, if you have any expense that you have a question on, always be sure just to reach out to us and we can give you the correct guidance on those. Booth or materials that do not promote your brand name or U.S. origin statement will not be eligible. Purchase of custom booth displays. Only rentals are covered as far as a booth display. Purchase of non-disposable furnishings, such as if you buy a couch or a chair or something like that for your booth, that would not be eligible for reimbursement. Costumes, sponsorships, delegation fees, fees for participating in U.S. government-sponsored activities other than trade shows and exhibits. Any expense related to a trade show at which you are not exhibiting. Your cost of product samples is not eligible. But if your country is not listed in your marketing plan, then the claim will not be eligible. That's why it's so important to check your WSATA account before you go. Some of the ineligible travel includes travel expenses for interpreters or temporary labor, contractors. Ground transportation is ineligible. Travel for applicants for employment interviews. Unused non-refundable airline tickets or associated penalty fees. Travel for any other reason except the outbound trade mission or international trade show. Freight ineligibility includes shipping of actual product or the cost of a rental vehicle. Ineligible printed sales materials, materials that do not promote the brand or U.S. origin statement. Again, that's not going to be eligible. Material that doesn't target your audience, business cards, seasonal greeting cards, materials for unapproved Fun Match products, which will be prorated, like we discussed before. Any materials tied to a discount or a coupon, that's not eligible, nor is the printing of those coupons. Giveaways, as far as ineligible expenses, would be items that do not promote the brand, items that are tied to purchase, like, purchase this and you'll get this keychain. Items that promote the company name, but is a different brand. Cost of product, if it's over $4 per item, those are ineligible expenses. Temporary labor costs that are ineligible would be employee wages or a foreign distributor's employee wages and travel expenses in country. Independent contractors' travel costs and meals. Demonstrator wages for an employee of your company or your foreign distributor's company. Wages over 8 hours, overtime is not eligible. training fees, or sales commissions, parking, media, press releases, baggage fees, and additional badges or delegate fees. In the next few slides, we're going to talk about the claims process, the online claims process that you utilize through your dashboard. But these are some of the real specific guidelines with regard to claims submission. The participant submits the reimbursement claim online within 60 days after the completion of the activity. What this means is 60 days from the last day of the show. That's how long you have to get your claim in. WSATA will receive the claim electronically and will review it within 30 days of the submission. If the claim is incomplete, WSATA will request documentation. The company has 15 calendar days to provide the requested documentation, or the claim will be processed as is, which might include a denial. If the claim is complete, we just process it, forward it for payment, and the payment can take up to 14 days to be dispersed to the company. Now this slide is what it looks like. It's just a screenshot of what you can expect when you sign on to your WSATA dashboard. You'll select the Fund Match program, the Claims tab, and that will pop you into online claim submission. You'll need to select your country, list your promoted products, your expenditures, your paid by, your total, and your travel expenses. And this is why you need to total all of your expenses prior to your claim submission, because you do need it for this very first screen detail. This is what the travel screens look like. And this is just to select the trade. You select the trade show or the trade mission. You'll answer whether or not you submitted a travel notification. There's 2 travelers that will be allowed, and it includes specific questions related to your airfare and your lodging. And this is some of the documentation that would be needed for your airfare. You would need to have your airfare itinerary, your quote, your proof of payment, the boarding passes, the photo of the traveler, your lodging statement, and your lodging proof of payment. It'll ask you to upload all these documents individually, and you'll just hit the next button to the next screen. And at that point, you start adding the individual expenses like your booth expense, your POS material expenses, your printing, anything like that. You hit next until you get to the submit claim portion and you certify your claim. And once we receive it, we begin the review process. Now, these are some tips for success. Prior to your activity, sign on to your WSATA account and verify, of course, that you have the country market of the show you want to go to, the activity you have listed, and that the products, review your product list, make sure that there's nothing missing on there. Also, make sure that you fill out your travel notification at the ATO travel tile. And whenever you're doing international travel, an automatic notification will come up on your dashboard that you need to file that travel notification. That needs to be done prior to your show. It's all automated now, so it will automatically send it out for you about 14 days in advance, and you'll receive confirmation email to this. Any updates or changes must be submitted online prior to your event. So if you do need to add a country market or you do need to add a product, be sure to do that prior to your travel. When you're ready, submit your claim. And we talked about this, save some time, upload your documents. I recommend a PDF format on as many as you can have. It just seems to be easier. But our online program accepts several document types. You won't have any problems getting your photos in there, getting your proof of payment in there. So anything you have, we should be able to access. If you ever have an issue with regard to uploading a particular document, reach out to us and we will get that taken care of for you. And the fourth item is what we just talked about, is be sure to total your expenditures prior to beginning to start your claim so that you can add in those totals at the beginning on the first screen of your claim submission. More tips for success. Well, you certainly can meet with me. I'm the Fund Match Liaison, and you can reach out to me and I'll schedule a consultation with you. We can go through the application process and I can help you determine your budgets and get you on the right track. Also, I highly recommend going through the Fund Match Guide. Specifically, you're at the International Trade Show webinar. So in this case, I would definitely recommend read international trade shows and read international travel. And those two areas of the guide will really assist you. Also keep in mind that we have example claims online. We also have these tutorials, and like this tutorial will be uploaded to our website for your future reference, and you'll be able to go back to it and see if there's anything that you're missing, and it'll assist you in the claims process. Now, if you are not a WSATA participant, you certainly may sign up today at www.wasata.org. Click sign up, fill out the details of your company. And the WSATA team will vet and approve your company. It takes about a day. And once that's done, you'll be able to sign on and have access to our website and check out all the opportunities that we have for you. Which brings us to the final slide, and a big thank you for you attending this event, and feel free to ask any questions. Contact me at diana@wasata.org, and my number's there. I accept calls and texts, and I'm happy to help wherever I can. And it's going to take me a moment, and I'm going to kind of exit our little presentation here and go out and see what kind of questions we have out in the chat. Let's see. Oh, we have a lot, looks like. Let's look. This is from Tina. Does the check we proved have to be a canceled check? No, it doesn't. Most banks, you can access the images pretty easily, but I don't think that they necessarily have that all the time on there. Sometimes they'll have the date when it goes through, but yes, you can use just the check image that's provided by your bank. Does that answer your question, Tina? I can't hear anybody.
Yes.
I wonder if
yes. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's good to hear your voice. This is from Catherine and Matt. Is travel and meals included for shows within the United States that puts you in front of international buyers where we are in the WSATA pavilion, like fancy food? Unfortunately not. Domestic travel is not covered at all within the US market. I don't know what all the reasoning is for that, but it's just the way it is. And does that help you, Catherine and Matt?
Yes, we have one other question that we were going to type in, but we thought we'd just ask it.
Okay, great.
Hi, Diana.
Hi.
I have a question about if we've submitted our application and approved for the funding and So at that point, to accept your application, you have to pay, it's like 2% or 2.5%.
$250.
Is okay. But it was I thought there was a percentage to pay of the amount requested.
There is. There's two. There's the $250 application fee that is needed each calendar year. And then there's an invoice on the amount of your funding for the year, which is at 6%.
6%. Okay. So my question is, if we decide not to, so that is a amount of money that we've got to pay, but then if we end up not using that funding, or we decide not to go on a trip to Canada or whatever, is that just lost funds? Do we get that back?
You know, it is lost funds if you just leave it on the table. That's why I really encourage our companies to kind of be a little bit conservative in their funding request. If they have a country market that they don't exactly know for sure that they're going to do that campaign, because keep in mind, you can always add countries and you can always add funding. So say, for example, you need to do something in Canada in July. You just sign on to your WSADA account, add that Canada market, indicate what activity you want and what your budget wants to be, and there you have your funding. Say, for example, you exhausted your funding on a claim and we could pay more on that claim, and we know we can. We'll notify you and we'll say, do you want to add some funding so that, we can pay all of these expenses? So just keep that in mind. It's at that point, once you are contracted and you've paid your fees, it's flexible enough where you can just add your funding as you go, add your country markets, and add your products as you go.
Okay.
So if we already submitted though, can we we haven't paid the fees yet and we just are looking at shipping to Canada and it's so expensive. So we thought we might just take that off. Can we go back and amend what we already submitted? And
it would depend on what your status is. I would suggest to reach out to Blaine, the Fund Match Manager, and just shoot him an email and ask him what that status is, and he'll guide you through that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and Tina, shared a screenshot. Yep. Let me know if this helps answer your question. It does. Tina, did you have any other questions regarding the proof of payment with regard to the check?
No, I was just recently asked for it, so I was just verifying that it wasn't a new requirement.
Oh, no, that's, gosh, I've been here almost 10 years. And as far as I know, we've always requested check images.
The check and bank statement. Okay,
yeah.
Just making sure something.
Check image and corresponding bank statement.
Yep.
Yeah. For domestic travel shows, okay, we already know that's not eligible. Domestic travel is not eligible. And Tina, you also asked, we recently asked, even though I had a bank statement. Okay, follow up the claims. Okay. Yes. Another thing too, Tina, feel free to follow up with claims if you ever have a question with regard to what we ask for as far as documentation.
Okay, yeah, I was just afraid that maybe something changed and I wasn't getting everything to them to begin with.
Now, you also asked about if you had a tablecloth that was, had your origin statement and your brand on it. Is it a disposable tablecloth?
No, they're cloth embroidered. We carry them with us.
Yeah, no, those are not eligible. It would be considered like a permanent thing. But if you had any screening or anything done for a particular show, that would be eligible.
But what my question is if we use that to show in our booth, our origin statement for our pictures, would that qualify?
No, because you're indicating to me that it's a tablecloth. It's made out of fabric and material, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. It wouldn't be considered disposable. It would be considered
Uh,
permanent. And so that type of expense is not eligible unless
Okay.
it's like screened for a specific show and you're just going to dispose of it afterwards.
Okay, so that's, yeah, okay, that's not my question. My question is, if I displayed our origin of statement using that method, not you guys paying for my
Oh,
tablecloth,
okay. Yeah, that's absolutely gonna work.
that would work. So
I
because
have
we
actually,
travel,
yep, I've seen those, Tina, that absolutely, it looks really nice actually on the booths.
okay, perfect, because we travel with those and not all places we can have banners behind us, right? So I
Right.
was just trying to figure out the easiest way for my team. Gotcha.
It
Perfect,
also
thank you.
helps too, Tina, you know, with regard to that whole banner thing. I've had companies where they didn't get all the pieces to the banner setup. And so they were they didn't have anything. And so that is a really good option to have, you know,
Yep,
in
no,
a pinch.
perfect, because, yeah, like I have a rep that's been on the road for 2 weeks already, and she's gonna be on the road for 3 more, and if she has to tote around banners and everything else.
Yeah,
So it's
much
this
easier
is
to
much
do a
easier.
tablecloth.
Yep, perfect, thank you.
Thank you. The next one's from Brian. If we discover additional expenses prior to the international trade show, can we amend funding agreement? Yes, you can amend your application or your contract as needed for your country market, Brian. Did you want to expand on what trade show it was and what your situation is? Must not be there. Okay.
Are you talking to me?
Neil. I think so. Are you Brian?
No, this is Blaine.
Oh, hi, Blaine. No, it's Brian. No, we
Okay.
had a question from Brian. If we discover additional expenses prior to the international trade show, can we amend the funding agreement? Which they can, but I wanted a little bit more information from him if he was available.
Got it. Yeah, I agree.
And Neil, what about non-trade show fund matching? Just B2B efforts. We, as a supplier, are working with another entity internationally unrelated to trade shows. Well, Neil, I need more information. So if you'd like, you can ask the question now, or you can just shoot me an email and give me a little bit more information and I can resolve that question for you.
Sure. Thanks, Diana. Essentially what I was just asking about is, you know, we've so far this whole session has been around trade shows, but
yes,
but often, you know, we may be opening up a market somewhere internationally directly with a distributor or somebody there that we will essentially be purchasing potentially from us. So it's not a trade show at all. It's just through any type of network that you're creating a business to business establishment relationship.
right. Business to business efforts are generally not eligible. However, if you're doing something like a promotional event or a demo with regard to your products, sometimes that will fit into, you know, a activity, an international activity. So if you ever have anything specific that you think might fit into that guideline, just shoot me an email and I'll take a look at it and we'll see if that will be eligible or not.
Okay, I'll definitely follow up because now I'm more confused when you said business to business are not eligible, because trade shows are businesses selling to businesses for the most part.
I guess what I guess what I might mean is that some of those meetings and that are business meetings are not an eligible expense with the Fund Match program. So we have to kind of vet exactly, you know, what expense you're talking about. For example, the trade shows and the outbound missions, they have a cost to them to exhibit and to do your exhibition. If you are just meeting with buyers or if you are meeting with importers, that type of meeting or effort would not be eligible for reimbursement as far as travel or anything like that. Does that help clarify it?
That does help clarify it, and that's exactly what I was asking. So that's too bad. I was just making the assumption poorly
Right.
that because it is expanding Colorado ag business in a new market, that it would be covered, but it does not sound like it can happen unless it's a sanctioned trade show or something like that.
Or an outbound trade mission. Now, if in Colorado, they have an outbound trade mission, that's, you know, we offer those through WSATA as well. The Department of Ag in Colorado would organize that. If they had an outbound trade mission, that is a type of activity that would be eligible for travel and for some expenses. But say, for instance, you just had demos or something like that in another country, no, that would not be eligible. And just let me know, Neil, if you have anything specific, shoot me an email and I will take a look at it.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Let's see. Brian's next. Our trade show in Germany may have additional expenses. The show is in May. I may not know about some expenses until April. We've already submitted our funding application. That's fine, Brian, because you can add funding if necessary at the time of submission of that claim. So if you have additional expenses, you'll indicate that on your claim submission, and we will notify you if you don't have enough funding. We'll notify you and invoice you for the difference between what you're already funded at and what you need for those claim expenses. Does that help, Brian? Perfect. Oh, Lily.
Yeah,
Lily's
hi.
typing. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing good. Can I talk? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. What's your
Oh, okay.
question?
My question is, yeah, I'm going to Japan, the FoodX. So I applied the fund, but some promotion material it will not arrive on time. So my question is that if I have left over the amounts for the funding, can I use for other country?
Yes, you may.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's not a problem at all. We can actually move that. So when it comes time to process that claim or to move that money around, we'll notify you and we will coordinate that for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do we have any other questions? I'm just so grateful that everyone jumped on today, and I hope that you found it very beneficial. Please feel free to give me an email or shoot me a call or whatever to get in touch with me, and I'll get back to you and coordinate your answers for you. And if there's no more questions, I guess that's the end of our presentation. Take care and have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Diana.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.